Hello everyone, back in the Mirage, and we're going to be doing a little bit of circuit practice in these IFR conditions caused by this terrible weather. Today we're going to be making the most out of our Tacan and ILS nav systems, because that way we can use it to practice our instrument flying the best. But we do also have a waypoint set, waypoint 5 for this airfield if we really need it, and it'll also allow us to use our synthetic runway and add a runway heading. We're going to use our Tacan and ILS, and we're going to set that up for 110.30 for our ILS and 25 X-ray for our Tacan. Today I'm just commentating over this. This isn't a live commentary because it's a little bit hard to comment in this sort of conditions, and it'll allow me to go over some of the systems and decisions made in a bit more detail. At the moment that was just bingo fuel set and checking over all of these systems. You can put in waypoint 5 now and double tap that to prep for that waypoint, and that will be our airfield waypoint where we currently are now. Validate it, it will add to the map, and we can use our route design mode if we really need it from that point. Okay, and we can do a control wipeout just before we get going, just to check that everything's good, and let up on the power. The engine is spooling up, we're taking fuel, as you can see on the fuel gauge, and the temps are good. Hold it down the certain line, and as we start to get to 140, we're going to start to pull back on the stick until our nose comes up to the T-bar. We have gear up plus the red climb. And now we're past 225, we can pull out our burner just for the gear, and that is lovely. So we're going to be aiming for 1,500 feet for this circuit at a lovely 300 knots, just to have a best of both worlds. We're currently at about 4 alpha, which is pretty alright for the climb, and now we're getting into the level off for exactly 1,500 feet. We're going to be using barometric for the most part today because we're a little bit of hilly terrain below us, which is why we're also using our terrain map and radar at the bottom on our little TV screen, the VTB, just so that we can understand whether or not we're going to hit a mountain. Now we're going to start our circuit by turning right to our starboard side, and this will allow us to turn. As you can see on the compass, we're coming round. Currently going past 180 as our heading. Now we're looking for a nice 30, which is the reciprocal to our runway, which is 12. So once our little heading bug shows that we're going on 30 and that its reciprocal is 120 on the compass down there in the bottom right, we know we can level back off again because we have completed our turn. I've added a little indicator in the top left of the screen just to show where my little Mirage is and visualize this circuit for if you lose track of it. We're trying to stick as best as we can to 300 knots at 15,000 feet, and as you can see we are in a bit of a tilt, but it should roughly be correct that we're at about 16,000 feet. So it shows that the barometric and the radar altimeter are at different levels, and I can't really trust the radar altimeter for this sort of thing. But at the moment now you can just flick it into autopilot. It sits there with the green auto and show that the route desired. We can check on the VTB with using that waypoint that we put in for waypoint 5 that is all there, and using the route desired it can show that we are on a good reciprocal to that because we're both put in the same way. Now the Mirage has 2 radar mapping modes. The red on that shows we'll only work up to 10 miles, but you can put in a height and it'll show whether or not you're going to hit somewhere. Red is, but I don't really need to set it because I don't believe any of those are high enough anyway. I did check the area anyway, it should be good for 1,500 feet in the circuit. Now the Mirage, as you've just seen there, you can turn up the ILS sound, so I know that if I have or don't have an ILS localizer track, which is great. I've just picked up an ILS track, which is a bit weird because we're nowhere near the capture zone, but those beeps signify that, so yeah, I'm sure it would be able to tell me if I was there. The runway is currently supposedly about 4.7 miles to our rear right, which is alright. We're not especially going to be able to turn in yet, because I don't believe we are good enough. We're going to probably wait till about 8 miles away, which should be more than good enough to start our turn back in, because we need to give it more than enough time for the ILS localizer to catch up for us. At the moment, I think I'm just messing around with the navigation system, and I'm taking off the glide slope of 3 degrees, so that the symbology for the hood stays off and makes it a little bit harder, and I can focus more on the ILS localizer, catching that with the little globe on the left hand side, which is our ADI. It's a bit of a complicated one in the Mirage, but it's very good. You can use the rollout arrow if you set it to the mid-alt setting, and set your mid-alt. Today we're going to use a nice 500 feet. Usually it'll be 250 for like low level summit, but 500 feet for this sort of weather is pretty good, because it'll give me a pull-up arrow if I'm way too low, which, as you can see down there on the radar screen, there is a mountain in front of us, so we do need to start our turn very soon. We are coming up to 10 miles away, as you can see on our compass, as we just passed through it, and that means we can start our turn. Lovely. We're just basing this turn probably at about 45 degrees, but I don't think I'm hitting that by the looks of it. A little up behind the jet, some terrible weather. Now we're going to 45 degrees. A little late, because of that we have not pulled around quite as fast. I think this is the start of like a little mistake here, as we keep the power on for 300 knots, 15,000 feet. Now here I'm just doing a little level off, because as you can see, the arrow on the compass is showing that it's still slightly forward of us. There is an offset for the Tacan station of slightly about a degree to the right, and once you're about 2.5 miles away from the localizer beam for the Tacan. So I'm just waiting for that to become completely perpendicular to me. So as it now passes to the complete 49 degree mark of that compass, I should start turning. This is where I make my first mistake. I'm about 4 seconds late on this before I actually start the turn, which is now. I should have started the turn as soon as that hit that. As you can see on the ADI now, the ILS localizer beam has gone past. There is no slip indicator for how much you are off of the actual runway on the Mirage, which is a bit annoying, and why it gives you the synthetic runway. But you can use the compass and the ILS, little yellow ILS bar on the ADI, to figure it out sort of yourself. I've noticed this now, which is why I've switched to the route desired, and I'm lining up using that route desired on the VTB. Something is wrong. We're still 10 miles away, which is more than enough room for error, and we haven't got our ILS needle yet telling me to lower my altitude. We're starting to get it a little bit, but we're really far off yet before we need to start descending. We're about 7 miles out now, and we already have about a degree of difference on the compass, if you can sort of see it, which definitely shows to me that we are off. So, but we need to get our parameters. As we're passing through 7.5 miles away, we really need to be getting down our speed. So the speed breaks travel now, and we're just getting down to 225. Gear comes out, and speed breaks off. Because we are at 200. Now we just passed through 5 miles, we're coming quite close now, and we still are not picking up on our ILS. We're starting to get our altitude to travel down, so now we definitely need to put in our 3 degree glide slope angle just to see what the runway is, and because the synthetic runway will point us back on and allow us to fix up our landing. We are at the correct height now for our ILS approach at 3 degrees. So we do need to start lowering our altitude, which is why we put the nose down, and we're still borrowing back on the power to get to 150 knots. Passing through 4 miles now, and we're trying to just keep the 2 little E-bar brackets with the carrots inside just to make sure we're at the correct speed, but we are aiming for 150. Still tracking with the 2 needles on the left for the ILS, as you can see there. We are completely perfect on for the runway. You can look at the synthetic runway in the middle, but I dislike it. We just passed through 500 feet from the ground as well. If you look on the compass, you can now see that there is like a full degree, 2 degrees of slip, which isn't great. We are on alpha as well. We are on 14 degrees alpha, which is our indicated alpha that we need for this landing. As we pass sort of through about 250 feet now, and we're exactly on our 150 knots, which is great. Driving in and keeping it steady now as we pass through 200, just making sure ILS needles are lovely and not gone wrong. Okay, so final check gear, just that it's look as we pass through 200 and 150 feet, and we know we are lovely for that. Okay, we can just get our first visual of the runway, and we're coming down into the flare. Kick last second and close throttle, lovely. And we can just caution that off for the autopilot. Speed brakes come out and nose down by 100 knots because you can't allow that. Now speed's dropping fast because we've put our chute out as well. We can just have a little look out of the window in a moment and see the chute behind us. Engines idling good, temps are good as well. Okay, we've just passed down to 30 knots. Let's cut our parachute now. So we put our nose wheel steering on because we no longer need or have any rudder authority, and chute can cut off. There we go, lovely. Right, now it's time to taxi back to the ramp, and I can hand you back over to past me. Well, those lights do a lot, don't they? There we go. I've got some blue markings now. I think they go off that way. We're just going to switch over back to taxi now as well. We come to this part here. We're fumbling in the dark here, and we're now into some parking spaces. Oh my god, I'm just going to go first thing here on the right. Just out of the way of that. This is nightmarish, honestly. So I still can't see on the parking spot. Right, I'm just gonna let it roll a little bit. There we go, that's perfect. I don't really want to get out. I might need an umbrella.